Om Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Tonight we're going to begin chapter 2, and there are a lot of unique concepts that come to us in chapter 2, and there's some technical issues that we'll deal with as well. It'll be our first introduction to Trishtup Chanda. Remember, all of chapter 1 was written in Anushtup Chanda. There were 32 syllables to the verse, and now with Trishtup Chanda we're going to go to 44 syllables to the verse, and it's interspersed throughout this chapter. There are just a few verses. We'll meet in chapter 11. Almost the entirety is written in this new chanda. So we'll begin on chapter 2. Om Bhu Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Swaha Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Sanjay Vacha Swaha, Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam, Shubhuna Udam Leksanam, Vishidam Idam Bhakyam, Uvacham Madhusudana Swaha, Sri Bhagavan Vacha Swaha, Kudasva Kashmadamitam, Vishame Samupastitam, Anaryajushta Maswardyam, Akirti Karmarjuna Swaha, Tvayam Basma Makartam, Naitam Dupadu Padyate, Shudran Vidayato Bhavyam, Tato Moshtitam Parantapa Swaha, Arjuna Vacha Swaha, Katam Vishmamakam Sanye, Dronam Chamadhusudanam, Ishvi Pratiyochyami, Pujarajvani Sudana Swaha, Guru Nakatva Imahan Bhavam, Swayo Bhaktan Vokshyama Viha Gope, Hartvarta Kamanstu Guru Nikivaim, Bujiha Bhaktan Rudira Pratnidam Swaha, Nacheta Bhima Katarano Giriyo, Yadvajaya Mayati Vanajaya, Yami Lakakva Nidiji Vasham, Asveti Saptam Pramuke Tatarashva Swaha, Karpanya Dukaro Vakata Swabhava, Pichami Pangarma Samura Chekta, Yatreya Sunistitam Ruitame, Shishyaste Yamzadi Mantam Pratranam Swaha, Nadi Prapasyami Mama Pamudya, Adyauchamam Chosham Nindriyanam, Abhagya Gumasa Satnamamritam, Rajam Suranam Apichadi Padnyam Swaha, Sangyoyo Vacha Swaha, Evam Varishikesham, Budadesha Prantama, Nayosya Giti Govindam, Bhutva Tushim Prabhu Vattasva, Tamuvacha Rishikesha, Prabhasanyi Vaparadam, Senayuror Bhajavatye, Vishikatavitam Vachasva, Sri Bhagavad Vachasva, Nasochana Nasochasva, Pragavastascha Vashase, Gatasuna Gatasuscha, Nanusochami Panditasva, Natveva Panjatu Nasam, Natwamime Janadipam, Najevana Vavishama, Sarve Vajamata Puransvam, Vekinosya Panjavye, Kumaram Lovanandara, Tadavi Antara Priyatir, Hirastatra Mukati Sva, Madras Pashastu Koteya, Sitos Sukadukana, Agama Vajino Vidyas, Tansi Rishvat Bharatasva, Yam Hina Bhakta Yagyete, Purusha
Purishashvam Samadukar Sukandiram Sumnikvaya Kalpate Svam Nasato Vidyate Bhavo Navavo and Vidyate Sadam Ruvayorapi Rishontas Pranayosvarta Dashivi Svam Abhinasi Tilkamini Inasarvavidantatam Inasarvavikadasya Nakanshankartu Markati Svam Andrabantamati Vedeham Nityasko Rajat Sririnam Anasinos Praniyasya Tasmadrujvasva Bharatasva Yayenam Yeki Hantaram Yajenam Nakatekatam Uvoto Namichanito Nayakanti Nanyate Svam Nagyayate Vijate Bakadachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavitana Vanamuyam Ajonitya Shasmatoya Purano Nasanyate Hanyapane Sarire Svaha Vitra Vinashinam Vidyam Yaita Bhanta Bhavanyam Kadam Sapurisha Bharata Hargatari Yantikam Svaha Bangsam Sinjinani Kata Vihaya Navani Grinati Nurom Purani Tada Shirirani Vihaya Jirnam Katyani Sanyani Kripani Dehi Svaha Nayam Chitasti Shastrani Nayam Tahasti Bhavaka Nachilat Vedra Yadabo Nasochakati Maraka Svaha Ache Yogyam Ajo Yogyam Aklesh Yogyosha Evacha Nityasavagatasranur Achalogyam Sanatana Svaha Abhyagogyam Achinyogyam Avikar Yogyamuchate Tasmadhivam Hidikrenam Nalusho Chadvi Maratasi Svaha Natashinam Hitachatam Nityam Manjasenatam Tatapi Mahabhavo Nayam Chochutur Marasi Svam Yatasya Nidhuvo Vidur Duham Jamam Vikashacham Kasmana Pavihanyete Apam Chochatu Marasi Svam Avyakadini Bhutani Vyakamadhyani Bharata Avyakadini Danyaniva Tathata Paridevana Svam Ascharya Papachasyati Kastantinam Ascharya Padatati Tate Pachanya Ascharya Tachay Vamanya Asminoti Sutva Denam Vedana Chevakachit Svaha Dehi Vidyam Bodhadyam Dehi Sarvasya Bharata Tasmat Sarvani Bhutani Natvam Sotrutu Maratsi Svaha Sadharma Chavekshya Navikam Istur Marasi Tamadi Jaicha Yadyonyat Shafiyasyan Vidyate Svaha Yadrichaya Chopapanam Swagadvara Paraprinam Sukhiya Shatiya Bharta Navante Yudhridrisham Svaha Abhati Vamimam Danyam Sangramam Nakrishasi Tadhasvadharma Kirtincha Vipapapabhya Bhaktasi Svaha Akirtincha Vibhutani Katayisyanti Vedayana Sambhavitasya Kakirtir Maradadapi Chinichate Svaha Voyadurandanu Paratam Manyate Tvam Bharatam Isham Chalvam Bhagavato Bhuvayasya Lagapam Svaha Abhachandadas Chambahun Vedishyanti Tavakita Vindastabas Madanta Tato Dukataram Nukim Svaha Atoba Prapjasi Swagam Titvava Moksha Sevagim Tasmadu Dishya Konteka Yudaya Kripta Nishtaya Svaha Om Svaha Om Svaha Om Svaha
afraid to go any farther would be a little bit too ambitious to cover in one night. There's a lot to discuss here. Let's read for a while, and then we'll get into the questions and real burning issues that are going to really affect us. Sanjay Uvacha, Sanjay, who is victorious over all, he who is victorious over all, said, and then slayer of too much, that's Krishna's name, remember Madhu from the Chandi, slayer of too much, Krishna, spoke these words to he whose eyes were filled by tears, being overcome by misery and sorrow. And the clarity of the respected supreme divinity said, clarity of pure devotion, he's talking to Arjuna, from where has such despair presented itself at such a time as this? It is not the most noble character, and it leads neither to fame nor to heaven. The son of she who excels, Arjuna, do not yield to sentimentality. Do not allow such a feeling to rise in you. Renounce this lowly weakness of heart and stand up with the greatness of illumination. You've already taken the sankalpa. You already defined the goal. You already pronounced the sankalpa. We are going to fight for Dharma. We are going to conquer this duality. We're going to conquer this duplicity. We're going to hush up the mouths of those who are speaking against Dharma. Now, why are you talking about should we do this or should we not? This is no time to do that. The debate has been completed. Again, you want to go back and rehash the same issues? We already decided. In clarity of pure devotion said, slayer of too much Krishna, how shall I engage who rules fear, who injures his foes with weapons in armed confrontation? They are both worthy of adoration, O destroyer of enemies. I'm going to fight my grandfather and my guru. Rather than slaying gurus of such great feelings, it is better to enjoy begging in this world. With the slaying of gurus, I understand that all desires and objects of enjoyment will be stained with blood. Hey, if we win the war by killing our own near and dear, what are the spoils of war? They're all the blood is spilled on the spoils of war. And even this we do not know, whether our victory or their victory is preferable. Who has the righteous cause? There is not one army in the world that fights without thinking that God is on my side. God is going to protect us. Allahu Akbar. Or who will win? Deployed before us are the supporters of blind ambition. By killing them, we do not even wish to live. So, I'm not interested in this battle. Of course, he was yesterday. And the day before when they made the sankalpa, but seeing them face to face, looking them in the eye and saying, the only way I can win is by slaying my dear and near, that's painful. The defect of attachment is mocking my intrinsic nature. That's heavy. Attachment is a defect. Here, because it's mocking his intrinsic nature. His intrinsic nature is to be the clarity of pure devotion. And here his attachments are precluding him from assuming that position, from being his true self. The attachments to his near and dear and his loved one, his family, is saying it's becoming a defect. Because his true nature, his intrinsic nature, is to be pure devotion, the clarity of pure devotion. Now he's in confusion. Because confusion obstructs my consciousness, I am asking you, Krishna, what is the ideal? What is the Sreshta Adash, the highest ideal of perfection that I can manifest in these circumstances? Now here we've taken the sankalpa. We've already said we're going to go to fight for righteousness. We're going to engage in war with those who are against righteousness. And now, I'm not sure if that's right or not. You tell me, I am your disciple who has taken refuge in you, Krishna. Tell me, instruct me of that which is best without a doubt. So I don't want any doubts. I want all the confusion clarified. I don't want anything to, any attachment to mock my intrinsic nature. I am the clarity of pure devotion, and I have to fight this battle because the ego says it's right for me to have more for myself, and my consciousness or my conscience says it's not. And here my consciousness is listening to both sides of the debate. Here I am standing between the two armies, listening to the debate. For even if we obtain undisputed wealth, kingdom, or even lordship over the gods, if I win big, and I get the highest and the best result and outcome out of my effort, I cannot see how to rid myself of this grief which saps the strength from my body. How often are we perplexed by this same dilemma? The grief, the grieving over having to perform and wanting to perform another way, and the debate that rages saps the strength from our body. And Sanjay, he who is victorious over all, and he's telling Dhritarashtra this whole story. He's narrating as he is perceiving it. Having thus spoken to controller of the senses, to Krishna, who has conquered sleep, Arjuna, he said, the clarity of pure devotion, why would he go to sleep? He is so much in love, he has conquered in sleep, he's Gujikakesh. And he of great illumination said to he who is one pointed light, Krishna, Govinda. He is Govinda, he is the Bindu of the ray of light, who is one pointed light, Krishna. I will not do battle. And he became silent. I don't want to fight. I don't want to produce this tremendous effort and find out that I got the wrong outcome. O descendant of the light of wisdom, then, in the middle, between the two armies, a smiling controller of senses, Krishna, said these words to he who is sorrowing. And the respected supreme divinity said, you speak words of wisdom while you grieve without cause. The learned grieve for neither those from whom life has fled, nor for those who yet remain alive. Interesting. If life has fled, it means you're dead. Now, why would you grieve for the dead? I mean, they're gone. Grieving doesn't make any sense. So do you grieve for those who are alive? Well, that doesn't make sense anyway, either. We only grieve for the loss of our personal attachment. Our attachments make us grieve because I don't have the pleasure that I derived, or the support that I derived, or in many ways, the edification that I derive from the association of another individual. So we grieve for our loss. We don't grieve for the dead body, and we don't grieve for the survivors. We grieve for our personal loss. It's only selfishness. Selfish attachment makes us grieve. Never was I not, nor you, nor these rulers of men, nor shall any of us ever cease to be. Just as the wearer of the body, this is a great term. We're going to come upon it again and again, especially in this chapter. The wearer of the body. Who wears the body? The soul. The soul wears the body. So we've got a dehi, a deho, and a dehe. have the wearer of the body, which is the Atma. The body is the Deha. And the Dehe, is in the body. So the wearer of the body is in the body and all presenting it. So we have Dehi and Dehe in this verse. Just as the wearer of body is present in the body, in childhood and youth and old age. Hey, was there ever a time when you were not in your body? I mean, you've been there since you were young. You were there when you were middle-aged. You're still there as you're getting older. So in the same way, at the end of the body comes another acquisition. Thinkers are not mistaken about this. Just you take another body. You were there in the beginning, you're there in the middle, you're there at the end, you're probably going to stick around. O son of who takes away the deficiency of others, that's Arjuna. Cold, hot, pleasure, pain, merely touch. They are temporary and impermanent. O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, be beyond them. O best of the people, those people who are not tormented, who experience pain with the equanimity of pleasure. Those are they whom thinkers conceive to have attained immortality. If we achieve that state of samya vashta, that perfection of equilibrium, the avastha of samadhi, samya vashta, the perfection of equilibrium, the state of equilibrium, then hot, cold, pleasure, pain, they touch the body. They don't affect the wearer of the body. The untrue cannot be known to exist, nor can the true be known not to exist. If it's true, it's there, it's eternal, it's always there. It doesn't change. Why would the truth change? How can you say it's true just for today? If it's true eternally. And that's why Shankaracharya say, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Because God is true, it's always the same. And this perceivable universe is always changing. So therefore it must be false. It's the Maya. Of course, he also went on to say that the constant change is always true. It's always happening. And therefore, nature herself is Maya, the measurement of all existence. The essence of both has been perceived by those who have intuitive vision of this principle. So the untrue can't be, and the true cannot not be. It's got to be. So, in the midst of this, know that of which all is a consequence, to be indestructible. Tat, as in tat tvam asi. No one has the capacity to destroy the imperishable. So the imperishable is abiding, and it's everlasting, and it cannot be destroyed. So it's true. And if it's true, it can't not be. These bodies are perishable. Who wears the body is eternal, undefinable, indestructible. And therefore, you should do battle, O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna. Because the body is perishable, it's going to perish anyway. So whatever you've defined as the ideal of perfection, you should perform that. Fulfill your sankalpa. Stand up for the ideal of perfection, because the body is going to perish anyway. The soul is never going to perish anyway. So then, why do you grieve? How can you grieve for something that's going to perish? It's going to happen anyway. Whether you grieve or you don't grieve, it's going to happen. So your grieving is without any fruit. And the soul is eternal and immutable, undefinable and indestructible, and therefore you can't grieve for the soul is never going to perish. They both do not know who presumes the capacity to kill and who thinks it to be killed. It neither kills nor is it killed. It doesn't die. It is eternal, immutable, undefinable, imperishable. And therefore, if someone says, I'm going to slay you, what are they going to slay? It does not take birth, nor does it experience death, nor does it become only after manifestation. It was even before manifestation, that is the mool prakriti. It is the stuff from which manifestation occurs. Sorry about that. So before manifestation it was, and then it manifested. And after manifestation it will become unmanifest. Does that make it devoid of existence? No. It is eternal. It is unborn, eternal, everlasting, since ancient times, and it is not slain when the body is thought to die. And really, does the body ever die? Well, we know that energy transforms itself. It becomes kinetic and then it becomes potential. But is energy ever destroyed? It only changes form. Now, if the body is energy, manifested existence, it is energy, then the body is thought to be slain, it's thought to die, but really it's only changed form. The energy from being kinetic in manifested existence becomes potential in the unmanifest. Son of she who excels, Arjuna, that man who knows it as indestructible, eternal, free from decay, how can he kill, and by whom can he be killed? He knows there's nothing that's going to die. I'm dispatching you to another form of energy. That's the most he can proclaim. Because nothing will die. Neither the body, the energy will die, nor will the soul die. And if he knows it and perceives the God within all beings, then he's not fighting a battle for personal or selfish gain. As a man discards old worn-out clothes and accepts other new ones, just so the wearer of the body, the guy who wears this body, discards old worn-out bodies and enters into other new ones. Now that's fun. Because once we know that, we become the wearer of the body. I'm no longer this guy, this form, this energy that's manifest in this particular personality. I am the wearer of the body. I put that personality on every day. You're putting me on as well. So the wearer of the body discards the old body and he enters into another new one. Weapons cannot cut it. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot wet it. Wind cannot dry it. It cannot be cut. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be wet. It cannot be dried. It is eternal, existent with all consistent, immovable for all time. It's the divinity within that's wearing the body. It is said to be unmanifest, inconceivable, without change. Therefore, knowing it as such, one should not grieve. We can give up all grief as soon as we remember it. I am the wearer of the body. There is a wearer of every body. And every wearer of the body is eternal. How can we grieve? What do we need in this particular time and space and circumstance? What is appropriate for us in this time and place and circumstance? Those are what we accept from God. We become servants of circumstances once we recognize that the wearer of this body is in relationship with the wearer of so many bodies. If you were to regard it as continually taking birth and continually dying, then also you should not grieve, O you of mighty arms, Arjuna. So now, if you don't accept my first premise, that it is eternal, and it's always going to be there, then try the other side of the proposition. And say that it's continually taking birth and continually dying. It didn't just die once, because where would the next birth come from? Is it possible for something to come from nothing? It must be there to take birth. So if you were to regard it as continually taking birth and continually dying, then also you should not grieve. For those who take birth, death is certain. Just as from death, birth is certain. And therefore you should not grieve over that which must be. If it's certain, it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, you're going to enjoy the fruits of your karma. So now, recognizing that from death comes birth, and from birth comes death, there again we should give up our grief, our sorrow, our selfish attachments. All beings were unmanifest before, and will become unmanifest after. O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, they are manifest only in the middle. Then why sorrow? How can we have this sorrow when we know that the manifestation is just a brief interlude between two periods of unmanifestation? So very few perceive it as wonderful. And even fewer others speak of it as wonderful. Very few others hear of it as wonderful, while the majority do not understand it, even having heard. So true. It's like in the Vedic Devi Shuktam, the goddess proclaims, they know me not, and yet they dwell beside me. They're living with me, and yet they don't recognize me. So very few perceive it as wonderful, even fewer others speak of it as wonderful, very few others hear of it as wonderful, and the majority just don't understand. Forget about that stuff. That's metaphysics. I'm interested in the physical. O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, the wearer of the body, who dwells in the body, is eternal and does not ever admit to death. Therefore you should not grieve for any unmanifested existence. You see, in the first word there is Dehi. In that shloka, Dehi, the wearer of the body, is in the Dehe, in the body. So now we're talking about the Dehi, the Deho and the Dehe. The Dehi is Dehe in the body, and he's putting on the body, the Deho. In Sanskrit, it's so majestic. It's so magnificent. How the play on the words is just exciting us. The poetry is just moving us. The wearer of the body is in the body. He dwells in the body and he puts on the body, and it's like an old cloth, and he'll take off the old cloth and give it away and put on a new one. And that's how the Dehi puts on the Deho. Therefore, you should not grieve for any unmanifested existence. Considering your own ideal of perfection, you should not waver. For a man born to fight, fighting for the ideal of perfection is better than any other reason known. Each of us, when we become a Dehi, we become a wearer of the body. We are born into warrior class. We have a fight to fight. We have to manifest the ideal of perfection in every behavior. At any moment, selfish attachments will come and conspire to confuse us and cloud our vision, so that we don't know what is the ideal of perfection. And we claim that we don't understand, and therefore we try to excuse our inaction or our inappropriate action. We know inside what is Dharma. A priori knowledge tells us this is truth. And yet we reason and rationalize and debate. All the idle philosophies come into our brains at any moment in time, and we become the warrior, the Dehi, who says, which one of these is going to lead me toward manifestation of the ideal? And which one of these is going to give me a temporary victory, which is going to create a greater mess for myself? Which one is really necessary for me to achieve immortality? And which decision is going to bring me into greater worldliness? This is the debate every warrior faces every decision we make. Constantly. For a man born to fight or a woman born to fight, fighting for the ideal of perfection is better than any other reason known. So we are all virya. Pashu, virya, dibhya. The three natures of creation, the three natures of humanity for certain. Pashu are the lower chakras. We eat, sleep, mate, and enjoy for ourselves. Selfishness and abiding by the laws of nature. Virya, the middle chakras, striving to raise ourselves up and manifest the ideals of perfection. And dibhya, the highest chakras, where we're already divine, like our example, Sri. Of its own accord, the gate of heaven has opened to you, son of she who excels Arjuna. Happy are the warriors who attain to such a battle. When we see that every day all Dharma is attacking us, we become happy warriors. What an opportunity to manifest the ideal of perfection. What a great privilege to demonstrate the sincerity of my devotion. You who are clarity of pure devotion, be clarity of pure devotion. It's the privilege, the opportunity to manifest. Happy are the warriors who attain to such a battle. If you refuse to engage in this battle for the ideal of perfection, then you will incur the sin of destroying the fame or value of your ideal. How valuable could your ideal be if you won't fight for it? If you won't overcome or strive to overcome your lower nature, your selfish tendencies, if we don't strive to control our selfishness, how valuable is this Dharma? to us. We just acquiesce immediately. Without putting up a fight, what kind of heroes are we? What kind of warriors are we? We are fighting, engaged in this spiritual battle to manifest the ideal of perfection in our every behavior. What kind of a dharma is that if we won't even struggle, put forth the effort to maintain our equanimity? How valuable, how famous, how wonderful could that ideal of perfection be? Let's surrender immediately. Beings will speak in derogation of your undying ideal. And for the highly respected, such derogation is worse than death. I don't want anyone casting aspersions or speaking disparaging remarks about my ideals of perfection. That's my goal, my lakshya, my sankalpa. How can anyone say that my sankalpa isn't worthy? I'm dedicating my life to it. That's my each of us has a sankalpa to which we are dedicating our lives, an ideal of perfection, a definition of dharma. And if we don't fight for our dharma, for our ideal, what will others think of our ideal? What will we think of our ideal? It's not worth fighting for. What kind of an ideal is that? I want a love that I would sacrifice everything for. Not just a love of convenience. Oh, it's getting a little difficult time for us to split. I want a love that starts with a big C for commitment. That I dedicate myself with the clarity of pure devotion in a committed relationship to my ideal of perfection. I'm willing to fight to maintain that clarity. Great warriors may think that from fear of battle you desisted, and you who are held in high esteem will attain smallness. Somebody who's great becomes very small when they don't live in accordance with their ideal. Your enemies will speak many unspeakable words in ridicule of your capacity. Won't this be painful? If you are killed, you attain heaven, or if you are victorious, the enjoyment of the earth. Therefore, arise, O son of who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna, determined to fight the war. You want to stand up and fight for the ideals with which you believe. You believe in those ideals, you want to stand up and defend those ideals. Make them shine, radiate them, demonstrate them. Let's see if there are any questions. I'm sure we covered a lot of material. Do you have any questions?
Swamiji, everyone has their own ideal of perfection.
Yes.
And sometimes those ideals are in conflict with each other.
Sometimes.
How do we handle that then?
We maintain our ideal of perfection while we respect other people's ideals of perfection. We allow them the same freedom to manifest their ideal of perfection as we choose to manifest our ideal of perfection. So we will give them so much scope to manifest an encouragement, an empowerment to manifest their ideal of perfection as we will want to manifest our own ideal of perfection.
But when there is a conflict, there's always the notion that the two parties disagree on what is the right ideal. How do we, there's no guidance here to discern how do we define the ideal and what is the right ideal?
No, it won't be. That guidance comes in the chanted. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of ideals and allows us to define to what we are devoted. They call it it. But in Chandi we call it by various names. We slay the demons of devoid of clear understanding, want of resolution, hypocrisy, arrogance, anxiety, the great frustration. And then we put too much and too little into balance and cut down self-conceit and self-deprecation and surrender the great ego, and we call this, according to the philosophy of Chandi, we define this as the ideal of perfection. In the Bhagavad Gita, we call it it. And know that the wearer of the body knows what the ideal of perfection means. Are there other questions?
Swamiji, there are a lot of questions from our online viewers.
Yes, please.
First question is from Rama of Yuma, Arizona.
Namaste, Rama.
Namaskar, Swamiji. Arjuna, as in the Gita, Arjuna did not want to fight his own kith and kin. The same kind of dilemma we too face. Swamiji, satsang is the first step for worldly people like us to come anywhere near God. Then we want to move away from our so-called relatives because they are dragging us away from where we want to be. We find peace in satsang, but they make us feel guilty for moving away. And Swamiji, these relatives, they say that none of our actions will succeed if we don't have the blessings of the elders and threaten us. We feel fearful. I have a lot of fear inside of me which is not allowing me to flower. At the same time, I have no peace in the company.
Rama, we will want to make a balance and a harmony and demonstrate the efficacy of satsang and the empowerment that you get from satsang, how it will edify your family. So our challenge is to make this practical, to bring this into our homes and make this knowledge practical, so that really through satsang we have attained an empowerment which embellishes our family. And remember Tulsidas, he said, Tatta Svarga Apavarga Sukh Doriya Tula Ek Ang Tum Nataki Sakalamili Jo Shuk Lava Satsang. All the pleasures of heaven and earth are put on one side of the scale, and all of them together will not compare with the joy, the delight, the edification, the amplification, the empowerment that we receive from satsang. Now our challenge is to make that empowerment manifest. Demonstrate to your family how taking a little bit of time away from them to spend with sadhus on the mountaintops has given you a new inspiration and shown you a new path, a new direction, a new way, the most noble ideals that you could direct your attention to. And come back with that blazing inspiration and fill your family with inspiration. Even by singing while you wash the dishes, by cooking the food, what you do is a privilege to support the wearer of the body, to manifest the ideal of perfection. Namaste. Are there other questions?
Question from Mani Manjali from Pinole, California. Swamiji says that the Gita tells us to control the senses and the Chandi tells us how to do it. Where in the Chandi can I find these instructions?
Oh, start from the very beginning. All throughout the Chandi, they are full of instructions. Everywhere you look in the Chandi, there are full of instructions. Please, if you have an opportunity, listen to our Chandi classes online. We have the audio version. We haven't done the video yet, but the audio version is on our website. And please listen to those classes. You'll find again and again admonitions how to control your self-conceit and how to control your self-deprecation, how to control anger and passion, and this whole this whole exercise of satsang and coming together is in study and is geared to inspire each other in the satsang and make it possible for us to control all of these impulses. Please.
Swamiji, a question from Nirmalananda from North Carolina.
Namaste, Nirmala.
Swamiji, did you say that the battle which is about to take place in the Gita is parallel with the inner battle between the ego and pure consciousness that we all experience?
It is true, that's one way of saying it. In this battle, we're talking about the clarity of pure devotion, Arjuna, having the battle, having the conversation with Krishna, the doer of all, the Supreme Lord, the respected Supreme Divinity. But if you want to call the ego, as the sons of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, representing ego and blind ambition and selfish attachment, and the defender of evil, against the Pandavas, who are those without any prejudice or those without any bias of their own, then you have egotism and selfishness against those who belong to all and wish for the welfare of all. Very nice analogy. Namaste.
Question from Kumari, Vallejo.
Yes.
Does the jiva have choices to take a birth and also to give up the physical form at will?
I'm sorry, to take a what?
To take a birth
To take birth, yes.
and also to give up the physical form at will.
Absolutely, it has choices, and yet it's nature as well. So both are true. Do you know my mother is Parvati, and my father is Shiva. And Shiva is the Lord of free will, and Parvati, or Sati, Durga, Gauri, Uma, she is the goddess of predetermination, of nature. And I'm the child of both. So sometimes I'm going to get the fruit of my karma. There's no way I can avoid it. It's the law of nature. And other times I have a free will to change it. I'm the child of both.
Swamiji, question from Rolf from Mountain View.
Yes, namaste, Rolf.
In verse 37, what is the meaning of if you are killed, you attain heaven? Does this mean the death of the ego?
Well, certainly it means the death of the ego, you go to heaven, or if your body is killed, then you cease to identify with the attachments of the earth. So therefore you go to heaven. Either way, if the ego is killed, you go to heaven. If your body is killed, you go to heaven too, because you separate. All of our meditation practices are designed to discriminate between the body and the soul. Every time we practice meditation, our objective is to remove our awareness from bodies and focus solely on the exclusive contemplation of the soul. And so what we call the perfection of meditation is when we forget about the body completely. Now, if you are killed, you forget about the body completely. So if you are killed, you attain heaven, and if you were victorious, you enjoy earth. Either way, you win.
Swamiji, question from Karen from Colorado.
Namaste, Karen. And namaste, Michael.
Did Swamiji mention the centers, the chakras, because they are who we are in this life, or that we can somehow strive or change our behaviors to originate from one of the centers?
Both are true, Karen. Do you know when we took birth, we had a certain sanskar. And we had certain tendencies with which we were born to manifest in this life. And we were born into a certain family, in a certain environment, which was most conducive to our achieving our certain purpose. And yet, along the way, we met Shiva. And we had a will to change the direction in which we were moving. And now our free will interacted with our predetermination. And we became the products of Shiva and Shakti. As we move through the chakras, we have a free will to make a decision, a conscious effort to try to relate to the world from certain chakras rather than from other chakras. It's a decision that we get to make.
Question from Jaydeva from New Jersey.
Namaste, Jaydev.
Dehi, the wearer of the body. Can Swamiji help us to get a clearer understanding of who is this wearer of the body?
I hope this entire discussion is trying to give us a greater understanding. It is the wearer of the body. It is the Supreme Soul. And in the body it's called the Jivatma, or the Atma. Who puts this body on? And where's the body? It is consciousness. Now, to define in greater depth, we have to go inside. I'm sorry, words aren't going to take us there. There comes a point where we have to move into the silence and discover the identity of the Dehi, of the wearer of the body, ourselves. Just a one-word answer won't suffice.
Swami, there are some questions from Friday's class.
Please.
Usha from Canada.
Namaste, Usha.
Would Arjuna represent also action or effort in us? So if he was killed or refused to fight, there would be no action or effort.
Absolutely, there would be no effort, but here we are, we're talking, the dialogue is between the clarity of pure devotion and the doer of all. So we're going Krishna, he who does all the action, because he is actually the wearer of the body. And Arjuna is the clarity of pure devotion. He's the one who takes the ego and steps to the side and says, okay, Krishna, go ahead and use this tool through which you can perform your actions. So, yes, your analogy works, but try this analogy itself.
A question from Kumari, valuable. What would be an example of Arjuna's ethical conflict in the modern world?
An example would be, do I tell the truth and give up some more? Or do I paint it a little different shade and keep more for myself? And don't we find that every day? Do I make a greater sacrifice by telling the truth? Or do I just color it a little differently and get a greater benefit for myself? I believe this is the ethical battle that each of us is confronted with several times each day. Our time is almost up. So we'll continue these questions in our next session. Tomorrow night is Saraswati's puja. So instead of Krishna, we're going to be worshipping Saraswati tomorrow night. It's Panchami, and tomorrow is Vasant Panchami. So it's the very special Saraswati Puja. Everyone, if you choose, please email us with a list of your books and your instruments and other intellectual projects and pursuits that you're doing, and we will offer them all to Saraswati tomorrow night in the puja. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.